you're watching the Top 6 Show, the original multi-club fan channel. Make sure you're following us now on Spotify and Apple Podcast. The link is in the description below. Welcome back to the Top 6 Show, sponsored by Match Bingo. You can get 10 free cards per month if you download and install now until the end of the season. It's the best game, the most fun game, the most relaxed game, really, to play during Premier League football matches. There's lots of prizes to be won. It's just like bingo, but a bit more about them later. I've got a brilliant panel for you tonight with Staffy back on the show. Young David is here. Chatty Patty's in the house. LB is back with us again, making his debut. Michael is here with us on the show as well today. Don will be joining us. Jerry will be joining us later as well. How is everyone? Everyone good? Everyone well? Everyone excited about the football this weekend?
Oh, good, man. Yeah. Big weekend.
We won a match.
Yeah, good, man.
We won a match.
Really
You did last night. You did. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, no, it was good.
Don't sound too excited now.
No. I'm tempering it. I'm keeping it down.
All right, so you're not being done, is what you're saying. I hear that.
Please, I was the only one who was questioning it. We'll get into it.
Yeah, I'm sure we will. Viewers, you know what to do. You've got to hit the like button. You've got to make sure you subscribe to the Football Terrace as well. So get that done for us if you have not done so already. Hang on a minute. Sorry, I hit the wrong button on something. Sorry, my apologies. I wanted to start off tonight, actually, with an interesting conversation that's emerged today in football, and that is blue cards. Blue cards are reportedly coming into the game where if a player commits a cynical foul, so a counter-attack. We all saw it the other night when Nigeria played South Africa in the dying moments of the game. The Nigerian captain pulled down the South African captain. That type of cynical foul, they're now talking about receiving a blue card, which gives you a 10-minute sin bin. LB, what's your thoughts on that? Do you think this is a good step for the amount of times City get dragged down on counterattacks? Do you think this is going to help football create more goals, punish teams for breaching those rules more? What's your thoughts on the new blue card?
Oh, mate, I hate it. I hate all this change, yeah? We've had football for, what, over 120, 150 years, whatever it's been. Why is it now that we're just starting to make all these changes? Are we saying that football's been like not a good sport for the last 150 years and that now we have to make changes? What are we doing here? I feel like this is just like more like some sort of, I don't know what they're doing. But I don't like the rule. If you bring down a player, you get yellow card. What's wrong with that? People say, yeah, well, if someone's going through on goal, well, if it's a red card, then if you bring him down through on goal, there's goal scoring opportunity. Yeah, but LB, yeah, but this and that. Nah, man. They're just making it more complicated. And let's say this as well. Why are they making all these new rules where they can't even do the basics right? I've been more open to like changes in the. I probably wouldn't be more open, to be honest with you. But let's just say, for example, I would be more open to it. I would be more open to it if the referees were getting everything right. Yeah, and they were the best referees in the world. And we were like, yo, these referees, man, every single game, they're getting every decision right. Every game, they get a decision wrong. Every game. I don't even get me started on the dissent, yeah? Why is this, right? Why is a player going like this a yellow card? Can anybody explain to me why this is a yellow card? Who is that upsetting? Who is that upsetting to cause a yellow card for a player going like this? And by the way, yeah, the last couple of people that I've seen been booked for that, they've been correct because the decision's been wrong. The one at Liverpool for United, Diogo Dalot, yeah, when he got sent off, he did that because it wasn't, I think they give a throw into Liverpool. It wasn't, it was a throw into United. That was in the 93rd minute, and that could have potentially cost Man United if Liverpool had scored. And he got sent off. Why is that a yellow card? And then so it happened again. I think Nunes potentially got booked in a game. And again, he got what he was saying, Nunes was correct. The referee got the incorrect decision. So how about these referees? I just think these referees and these people who run the game are arrogant people because they're making all these changes now, yeah, when they're not even getting the basics right. So you sort out your basics, yeah? How about, communicating better on VAR so legitimate goals like for Liverpool, for example, are not chalked off, yeah, and start getting stuff like that right. Explain to me why this is a yellow card, because it don't upset me. I guarantee it don't upset no one on the panel, but for some reason that's a yellow card these days. Also for dissent, yeah. What happens if a foreign player says something to the referee in a foreign language that the referee doesn't understand? How's that going to work? So is he just going to get away with it because he said something to the referee in a language that the referee doesn't understand? Like, how is it going to work? So listen, I just think it's a load of nonsense. Nothing wrong with the current rules of yellow cards and red cards. I think it's a load of nonsense. Often, go on, Don.
It's gonna allow people to cheat, man. It's gonna allow people to cheat, Terry. Like, you're not getting a real punishment, because if you're sent off for what is it, 10 minutes that they're saying that you're gonna be in a sin bin, right? The team can just basically put a low block for 10 minutes and then wait for you to come back. You know what I'm saying? If someone's threatening in a threatening position and again you get done for dissent, it's like sometimes you can get a solid yellow, or you can get sent off at times for those sort of decisions. But if you're doing it deliberately, you're playing the game in a way. They're allowing you to play that game and basically to cheat in a way, because you know you're not going to get sent off. You're just going to get sent off for 10 minutes and you're going to come back on. You know what I mean? So I'm not for it, man. I'm not for it.
It's important. I think David said it backstage. If you do it, I would assume 2 blue cards means a red card if it remains blue, because otherwise you could do it 2 or 3 times in a game. Where I play devil's advocate is this. It was only in 1970 at the World Cup that yellow cards were introduced to the game. It was only in 1984, I want to say. No, that's not true. In the late 80s, early 90s, when the back pass rule was removed and you couldn't pass back to a goalkeeper. So these types of rules have been implemented, or rules have been changed before. Goalkeepers being permitted to wear gloves as an example. And what I would say is that yellow cards and the pass back rule and goalies wearing gloves, they were treated with the same hostilities this one is being treated with now. So, you know, people of our generation, we only grew up with yellow cards. People that were in their 20s and 30s, you know, born in the 50s, that suddenly saw these yellow cards come in, thought it was a disgrace. They just said, well, if it's not a red card, you stay on the pitch. And if it's a yellow, you know, that's it. If it's not a red card offense, nothing happens. But we introduced that. So the question is, why is this different in your opinion, guys, than the introduction of yellow cards in the 70s?
Is this definitely coming in? Is it something that is, are they thinking about it, or is it coming in?
They're trialing it.
Trialing it.
What, where? In the Premier League or different, like, what's the
no, like women, I think it's women's FA Cup matches and men's FA Cup matches, and like, well, that's going to get there. So
it sounds like rubbish, man. It sounds like they're trying to Americanize the sport, and they're just trying to make it like football is already a global sport. Keep it as it is, and let's just keep it moving. Like LB said, make better decisions with what we've got already. There's too much going on where certain teams will do tactical fouls 4, 5, 6, 7 times and the player won't get carded. Make sure you give appropriate cards for decisions where you know someone's purposely getting one over on the other team, instead of adding extra bits, because we can't referee what's already there as it is. Do you know what I mean? Games will make it taking 110, 120 minutes because there's so long VAR checks and all of this other stuff. But yet they want to add more stuff to it. It's mental. It just doesn't make sense.
I just don't get what's wrong with yellow cards. What's wrong with yellow cards?
What if, and I've been thinking about this, what if blue cards are a way to help VAR? Because you could effectively have a system where we say you review a decision for a minute and a half. If you can't come to a decision in a minute and a half, this potential red card challenge will then become a blue card challenge. So effectively, you now have a barrier between a yellow and a red. Because I think a blue is a halfway point between yellow and a red. So, for example, Gusto this season has had 2 times where he's made a tackle and he's hit a player's. Most people, when he got given a red card, said it wasn't a red card. But when he was given a yellow card for the second time he'd done it, most people said it was a red card. However, you would argue they're probably both blue card challenges. So my point is, could this be a way for VAR to almost help VAR with the whole it's slowing the game down and so on and so forth, and say, well, if we can't come to a decision within this time limit, we'll give you a blue. And then it just kind of works in that way. That could be again, when I was first told about VAR, my uncle knew someone, I don't know who, but he worked in what was it? It was like how you manage change in a sport, like how you manage change in like a game, for example. And he was talking to me about how progressively VAR is going to get introduced, and it will start off probably a bit well, maybe not too well. Then it will get worse, and then they'll go through everything that can go wrong with it, and then it will get better. This might be another step in making VAR better.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. For years, the one thing I've always despised is yellow cards for cynical fouls and counterattacks. I don't think a yellow card's enough because you can never get, and generally most of those counterattacks, you've got a numerical advantage. You never get that advantage back just because a player's been booked. And sometimes it can take a player 2 or 3 of those cynical fouls, if you're named Rodri, to even get a yellow card in the game. So for me, this works as long as the blue card is issued, whether it's 30 seconds into a game or not. You start a game away at the Etihad, and you have a little breakaway, and Rodri pulls you down on the halfway line as you're running past him, and suddenly now he's got to miss the next 10 minutes. Yes, City could sit behind the ball and play low block, but that would be a rarity. I think it could open up the game. I think it could make the games a little bit more interesting, and maybe it will stop those. We all get angry and frustrated at those cynical fouls because we know that a yellow card isn't enough. So I don't know if it will work, but I've been saying for years, let's try it and see. You could be right. They might just sit behind a low block for 10 minutes, but if they're that defensive a team, they're going to sit in a low block anyway, and they'd rather sit against a low block of 10 than a low block of 11. Surely it's going to be a little bit easier. But I want to ask Michael, obviously new to the show today. A lot of people are saying we're trying to Americanize the sport. You're a Yank. Do you see it as being an Americanization, or do you see it as being a good step for the game?
It could kind of be an Americanization because, like, I could compare it to basketball. If you guys watch basketball, like when you have a fast break, right, and you get automatically fouled, originally it was just a common foul, but now they allow the other team to shoot a free throw if they call it like a take foul, so they get an opportunity to score a point. So I get from that sense why football would want to do it, but I kind of agree with LB. You're giving more responsibility to referees that already have too much responsibility and have shown that they can't handle that level of responsibility. Like imagine Anthony Taylor, who has made about 800 wrong calls this season, having to decide what's a red card, what's a blue card, what's a yellow card. It's not something that you really know. And I kind of, with with transition fouls, that's just kind of like the dark magic of the sport, like those little tactics, that kind of stuff. That's kind of what makes the sport beautiful. Somehow some players get away with it, like the transition fouls. They like have a way, like Fernandinho, for example, he knew a way to do them where he could not get a yellow card. Casemiro used to do the same thing at Real Madrid too. Obviously, at Man United, it's kind of been different. He gets booked for every single thing. Maybe that's perception, but it's those kind of things that also make like the dark magic of football. That's what kind of makes those teams, like Diego Simeone, right? Atletico Madrid, they would suffer from this rule. They'd be having like about 10 blue cards a game. They might be down to like 5 men in a football match. What happens then? You have like an 11 versus 5. That then they have to kind of figure out a way to be very solidified about this until they really start adding it into football matches. I think they should actually start doing this like in youth matches first, in that kind of level, before they kind of go to like the Premier League, FA Cup, that kind of stuff.
Bro, I agree. I think it's part of the game, man. I think it's like, and listen, it happens to us a lot. You know what I mean? It happens to every team. Let's not pretend like it only happens to one team. It happens to every team. Every team is going on break and then you get took down. I just think it's a part of the game and they get booked for it. And if they don't get booked for it, that's the referee's fault. Get the referee to sort it out. You know what I mean? So I just think that, like, I don't really see what the point of this is, to be honest with you. I think, again, it's just a load of nonsense. I just don't get it. I just do not understand why this is needed at all.
I hear you here. This says that Rodri will never get 90 minutes ever again. That's just true. He's a very cynical fella.
And he gets punished for that. He gets punished for it. If
he gets away with a lot, Rodri.
Bro, he's already had one. He's had a red card. He's had a ban.
Yeah, that's because he strangled someone, though.
No, but he's already had another ban since then. He's 3 yellow cards away from another ban, 2-match ban. So he gets his.
Yeah, but he does a lot. He's like a lot of the again. You're the most successful team in England currently, so you get away with it. So, certain teams have players. Gerrard got away with it like you wouldn't believe for Liverpool. That man. I mean, he could commit assault on the pitch and the referees would probably sort of come and bandage his hands up for him and say, "Are you okay, Stevie? Are you okay?" He got away with a lot. I hate tactical fouls. I welcome the blue card, is what Harold says. Halftime hooks, that's Studio Hooks. He changed his name. Big up yourself. He says, couldn't this be abused? No more subs left. Tired players get a 10-minute break to re-energize. If it's a 10-minute break with less players on the pitch, nobody would want that.
However, if you get a blue card in the 93rd minute and you've only got a minute to go,
How does that work? Yeah, does that roll over to the next game or what?
No, you just at the end.
LB hates this. LB hates this.
Yeah, roll over.
I hate it, bro. Proper
No,
hate it.
Start
Good
the
challenge.
game with a lineup. You got a blue card next to a player. You can't come off it with this.
Yeah, even if you like, oh no, we won't start him then. Yeah, well, when you sub him on, the second he touches the pitch, he's still got 3.5 minutes to serve. You know what I mean? He can't come on. It's been tried for 2 or 3 seasons in lower leagues, and for instance, descent bookings have fallen by 40%, including tactical fouls. So yes to blue.
Yeah, but obviously, bookings are going to fall though if they've included a blue card, isn't it?
No, but what he's saying is that the amount of offences, I think he means, for tactical fouls and dissent has dropped altogether. But that's a good point.
I like me a tactical foul though. That's the thing that I don't like. Like if I'm getting countered, I want you to foul the guy. Like what? You're gonna let him score because you're trying to avoid a blue card?
So I agree. I agree, but a lot of these rules have ever been brought into football. Like the pass back rule came in for the simple reason of trying to create more goals in football. Because if you go back to the great Liverpool team, they go 1-0 up and they spend the rest of the game just passing the ball back to their goalkeeper. Once the goalie picks it up, you can't do anything. And there was no time limit for how long he could hold the ball. So time wasting was a thing. They brought time wasting rules in because teams would take 2 minutes taking goal kicks, legit. So I'm all for this if it creates more goals and more exciting games, but it's got to be tested properly. They can't just throw it in without it being, I don't like saying this about referees, but semi-perfect. It needs to be really good, but I get the challenge. In any system, adding variables creates problems. When those variables are administrated by the PGMLO referees and subjective, ref's opinion, outcomes will be bad, not Americanizing. It's admin, an admin circle jerk. Thank you there, Docs and Kobbie. Speaking of Americanization, Chelsea last night, LB looked really good.
Yeah, they did, didn't they? On the flip side, Villa were shocking. Like really, really, really poor. Like Douglas Luiz, McGinn in the middle, I thought was super poor. But yeah, man, fair dues to Chelsea. I mean, it's no surprise Chelsea do have that in the locker. They've got some decent players, haven't they? You know what I mean? But it's consistency. It's consistency that Chelsea don't have at the moment. You know what I mean? They'll probably lose their next match. So yeah, I mean, Enzo looked great. That's probably the best I've seen Enzo for me personally. When I've watched Chelsea, that was his best game that I've watched him in. Madueke on the right was class. Even the guy Jackson on the left hand side, I thought had a pretty good game. So yeah, listen, it's a good result for them. Despite their horrific league form, they're in the cup final, Carabao Cup. They're in the 5th round of the FA Cup. Only London club in the FA Cup left. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There we go.
Wow.
He spoke about the other day where Don's team.
I'm shameless, man. Terry, you know shameless Don, man. Come on, you know this, man. Come on.
You're not like 11. You're like 20 points off the top 4 and you're celebrating that.
Bro, I'm just speaking facts. We're the only London club left in the FA Cup. It's a fact. It's not my opinion. It's a fact.
Don, please, bro.
David, are we the only London club left in the FA Cup? Yes or no?
That's not my point. They need to be mentioned, bro. I
will mention it because it's a fact.
No, I'm happy that Don mentioned that. I'm happy he did mention that because I wanted to know that. But this is the issue with you, Don, and I think Terry said it. Terry said it on the last top 6 show, and I'm gonna say it right now. Here's your issue, Don. You want to be one day Muslim, one day Christian, one day Jew, one day Buddhist. You want to be everything. You just flip flop, bro, crazy, and you just keep going back and forth.
The minute, that's not my opinion.
No, I know it's a fact. Thank you for stating that fact. But the way you celebrated it, the way you seemed very excited to talk about it is insane to me. And here's the thing. This is why when people come at you and for the things that you say to back your team and you're like, no, but no one's been criticizing my team more than me. But then you do things like this. Like, look at it. How come David didn't say it? Can you explain to me why David didn't say it? I'm pretty sure David knew that too.
Staffy, you know me well enough.
I actually didn't know that.
Staffy, you know me well enough to know when I'm in my shameless bag. Come on now, Staffy. Yeah. If
I know that.
Go on the TL, you see Don shameless. I am very shameless on Twitter.
Don, right? I tell you now, you know how much love I've got for you, Don, but I feel like you're, like they say, like some people get drunk or they get angry and the truth comes out. I feel like when you're in your shameless mood, that's what you really think. But
nah. I said we were going to lose yesterday. I said we were going to lose yesterday, bro. I predicted that we'd lose the game. I was not confident at all. I was surprised that we won the game. I was
But
surprised.
you did do well yesterday. David, do you think it's going to continue into this weekend? You go up against Crystal Palace on Monday. Are you confident that the manager will get it right again?
We might win this week. It's what happens the week after and the week after that. Because as I said at the start of the season, we are going to be very up and down, because the thing I've been preaching on the terrace for years is young players are by definition inconsistent. So why would you expect consistency from young players? It doesn't make sense. To me, it just didn't make sense. So we might win the next game. But my thing with Chelsea fans is we won yesterday, and I've seen a massive change in tune from all of them. And we might win on Monday, and I'm going to see a massive change in tune if we win on Monday. But then if we lose to Man City, which is not the worst thing in the world, but it could happen, are they all going to sit there and go, I want Poch out again? That's my thing. I am not Poch out, and I will not be Poch out for, I don't even think I'm going to be Poch out for like 2 years. Because to me, I just don't, I know genuinely, I don't see how
That's
I don't
poor mentality. That's a poor
no,
mentality.
no, because Don,
very poor.
my issue with most Chelsea fans is when I ask them, if you are Poch out, how are you going to fix the problem at the club currently? I get answers like we bring in Gary O'Neill because he can bring in our footballing philosophy because he's done it at Wolves. I get told, oh yeah, played Dylan Williams at left back, even though he might be 16, has never played, a professional game in his life. At least he's a fullback who can get width. I get really stupid answers. So until someone can provide me with a genuine way of fixing our current situation, which isn't stupid, like, oh, I'm going to bring in Zinedine Zidane tomorrow, right? I'm not going to be Poch out because we need consistency. Everything about this club right now is inconsistent, and the thing that separates Liverpool and City from everyone else is consistency. So can we at least be consistent in one department? And I don't think Poch is. I don't think Poch is the issue that is making us this massively inconsistent team. Has he made mistakes? Yes. Has he made mistakes? Oh, yes. But he's made mistakes, and you know what? Every manager does. But even when he's made, Pep will make mistakes, but Man City's players will bail him out when he makes those mistakes. That's the difference. Our players haven't bailed us out. That's my issue.
Yeah, but the thing is though, when you talk,
manager.
Listen, bro, not in this context, man. Not in this context. These are some young players that we've got. As much as I rate some of the players that we've got here, like I've mentioned, Caicedo, Enzo, Cuckoo, Palmer, all of these guys, I like these guys. They're good players, right? But when a manager is unable to make basic changes that everyone can see aren't working week after week, I'm sorry, you can't just say, yeah, it's a progress, it's a process even, let's just keep him in there, because he is a big problem right now. I agree. He's not the only problem, but he's a major problem right now. Yesterday, all he did in that game yesterday, 2 years is crazy, David. 2 years, all he did,
David.
2 years is crazy, bro. 2 years is crazy for you to say that.
Because I don't,
David.
Okay. Let me put it like this. I will only be Poch out when I see a better option available. And right now, there is not a better option.
That's not our job.
No,
that's not our job.
Question, LB, in your opinion, are there better options out there right now than Pochettino to manage Chelsea?
There's a lot of better managers out there. Even the ones that are at clubs. Chelsea are a big club.
Who are available, who we can buy without any, a potential.
David, the major problem with Poch right now is that he's misprofiling a lot of players, bro. Right? Yesterday he set us up correctly, and it's no surprise we played the way that we did. Aston Villa had their strongest team out pretty much, apart from Ezri. Ezri was injured, yeah? They had their strongest team. We played them away. They've only lost to, is it Newcastle, Terry, that they've lost to this season at home? Other than that, they haven't lost a game at Villa Park, right? I said on Dan Potts' show yesterday, big up Dan Potts, I said, I'm not confident. We're going to lose the game, right? As much as it's my team, there was nothing for me to be confident about based on what I've seen from the manager as well as the players, okay? But yesterday, bro, he made a slight tweak. He put Enzo and Caicedo next to each other. Caicedo wasn't left on the island by himself. He actually had someone that he could combine with. And that is why we kept beating that press. And that is why, as a team overall, we had a little bit more balance because the engine of our team was well drilled and it looked a lot better and the instructions were a lot clearer. So it's no surprise that these players, as young as they are, they performed. If you look at Aston Villa's team, they're the ones that looked like they were the young players, bro. And we had the average age of 22 yesterday.
So what you said, 1 second.
Wait. He set us up well and we played well, bro.
1 second. I just want to answer this. So what you just said right now, if I'm understanding this correctly, that Poch had to go through some trial and error to get the formation and the tactics correct yesterday, right? So
No.
you don't think you got it right yesterday? You just said
No,
you did.
he got it right yesterday. But what
Okay.
I'm saying, you said you had to go through some trial and error. He could have done
Yes.
this way before, bro. He's done it a couple times already.
Okay, but here's my point.
Mm.
This is a new squad with a new manager, and what you just explained is inconsistency. Isn't that what's supposed to happen with the new squad and a new manager? Especially
you don't play
young
Ben
squad.
Chilwell left wing. You don't play Enzo in the 10 consistently with Gallagher in the pivot. You don't play Levi Cole consistently at left back when you've got Maatsen there, right? You don't consistently make Enzo run away from Caicedo week after week. We are now in February. It's not us saying make all these changes in September, a month after the season started. We are in February, bro.
No, he had a lot of injuries, so he had to keep switching it up to figure out the formula,
but we've had a lot of injuries, Staffy, but there's been a lot of games where he's had a balanced team that he could have put out without guys being injured, and he still refuses to do it.
Okay, but here's my point.
Like I said, and even yesterday, the tweak in midfield was, like I said, putting Enzo and Caicedo near each other, not away from each other.
No, I get that. And I do think he's gotten a lot of tactics wrong. And I went at some point and I was like, you know what? At the end of the day, this is a results business, and he's not getting the results, and he needs to go because the performance was also regressing. But yesterday, after this performance, I stand corrected. I think I was wrong for saying that, and I'll tell you why. This manager has not been in here for a season. Most of these players haven't even spent a year in this league, let alone Chelsea. Most of these guys that you bought from last year to this year are players that didn't even play in the Premier League. So they themselves are going through some adaptation in this country, let alone Chelsea, okay?
I agree.
So I'm looking at all this, and I'm like, if a manager I'm guessing you guys are the youngest squad in the league, right? Because I've heard that before. A lot of Chelsea fans told me that. You guys have the youngest squad in the league. So if a new manager to a club with the youngest squad in the league doesn't get to try and mix up things in his first season to figure out all his players, their best positions, their worst positions, this formula works, this doesn't work. If he doesn't get to do this now, when would he get to do it? And one more thing. I heard this a lot also from Chelsea fans. I want to address this. They said, well, Arsenal had the youngest squad in the league last year. Okay, that's a very good point. But let's add the context around it. That Arsenal squad last year, or was it 2 years ago? I don't know. I'm just going by what people told me if it's last year or 2 years ago. How long have most of these players on the Arsenal team have played together leading up to last season versus how long has this Chelsea team played together? Because Saka, as an example, has been playing there for 3-4 years now. Martinelli, the same thing. Most of these guys that are very young in the Arsenal team last year already had chemistry together, already been with the manager for about 4 years. That's not the same thing that you'd say with Poch. My issue with Chelsea fans, and this is not directed to anyone. Sam said it perfectly in the summer. He said the worst team to have a project with is Chelsea fans because they're very impatient. And when you really deep it, when you really think of it in depth, this Chelsea, this current Chelsea, the club, I'm not talking about just the team, this club right now is not anything similar to the club that you guys had under Roman. Because I said this analogy, and I'm going to say it again. Just pretend that Terry tomorrow sells the football terrace. There's no more Terry. There's no more KJ. None of us are here. None of the straight facts people are here. So it's a new channel. Would you logically tune in to the next show and expect the same exact content? No. Not because it still says the football terrace means that you're going to get the same thing you used to get for years. Because the owner, all the way down to the employees, are no longer here. That's the same thing with Chelsea. When I look at Chelsea, the only thing that you guys are holding your club, when they say standards, and I get that because I do the same thing with my club, but the only reason you say standards, you say standards because when you used to win, when you look at the club, when you used to win, nothing from that club is currently staying until this day besides the name. Everything has changed from the owner to the players. So the whole structure has changed. How can I logically expect the same thing from Chelsea of 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago when everything has changed from top to bottom? That's the one thing
I just
Staffy,
think you're making that way more complex than it is.
Way more overcomplicated. Why would you want to own
he's underperforming as a manager.
It's not complex. It's the facts.
My
LB.
question is.
So Staffy, aren't you the same guy?
Wait.
You're the same guy that gets onto your fan base when you lose the game. When you lose the game and people start talking about the Glazers. Yeah,
I knew
you're the same guy. You're the same guy that gets onto your fan base that do that. So why are we now talking about the owners when Pochettino is meant to be managing this team?
I didn't blame.
Getting paid,
It didn't
getting
do
paid
that.
10 million. No, you're saying, oh, everything's been changed from top to bottom. Everything that you're saying, I agree with. But it holds no relevance to the conversation that we're having.
Of course it
about
does.
Pochettino
Of course
and
it
his
does. It
tactics.
holds a lot of relevance.
I don't think
Pochettino
it
and
has
his
any relevance.
tactics have not been good enough, bro. He has not been good
I
enough.
know,
You
and
can't
I
tell me.
agreed with you. Listen, I
So
agree
then
with
what's
you.
your point
No,
about
I
going top
agree
to
with
bottom
you.
then?
The reason I agree with David is because David needs a little bit more consistency before he can make big decisions like that. Because he knows, Poch as an example, he's not the only issue. Is he an issue? 100%. I think Poch is an issue. But the boat you guys are on right now is something that none of us are familiar with. You can't use my club, LB's club, Patrick's club, or anyone's club as an example, because no one went through a whole renovation from top to bottom in a matter of less than 2 years, the way you guys did, and literally rebuilt a whole squad in less than 2 years or less than a year and a half. And they come in and they expect results right away. I've listened to some Chelsea fan channels yesterday, and here's the issue that I have with them. They saying, "Oh, well, I'll only be Poch in if he gets his top 4." Okay, by what logic is he supposed to get top 4? Because
That's
he spent
crazy.
$1 billion. Because
That's
he spent
crazy,
$1
though.
billion. Okay, wait 1 second. He spent $1 billion. Okay, did he spend it on current players or did he spend it on future players? Because that's the context that's very missed. Okay,
But
so he
Staffy,
spent it on
Staffy,
future players
what-
because
what-
your squad is young. 1 second.
Go
You
on.
bought most of your players were not even proven in Europe when you bought them, and I'll tell you why. Enzo played 6 months in Portugal when you guys bought him. Was that enough time for him to be a big player in Europe? No, but you bought him because of his potential. Okay, Caicedo, same thing. He started 1 year in the Premier League and you dropped what, 125 million on him or whatever it is? He
I had a
started
million,
1 year in the
and a
Premier
million
League.
and one clubs in the Prem looking at him, including Chelsea. It wasn't just us that
No,
wanted him.
I hear that. I
Not
hear
bad
that.
player.
But there's a difference between Caicedo going to my team that had a good year last year and he would have came into an established midfield, or same thing as going to Liverpool. If he went to Liverpool, an established team that's been there for a while, then a team that is all new. This is what I keep telling you. All your players are new. All your players don't even have the familiarity of playing with each other because they haven't played with each other for at least a year. You bought most of them last January and most of them in the summer. How can I expect a bunch of kids who need time to adapt to a league to once, as soon as they meet each other, let's become a top 6 team. Let's become a top 4 team. By what logic? What proof do you have from these players that they've done in the Premier League? Have you seen any of your players, for most of them at least, be these players that played in this league and consistently got top 4 and was winning leagues? You can't
Staffy,
name them
where-
outside of
where would
Sterling
you
and Thiago.
expect
You can't
Chelsea?
name anyone.
Yeah,
Where would you
Staffy,
expect
Staffy.
Chelsea to finish? Because the way you're talking is like Chelsea fans shouldn't have any expectations. I don't get it. This Pochettino has not been good. Like, regardless of what's going on outside, when I look at this Poch as opposed to the Poch that managed Tottenham, he's a shadow of himself. The guy looks lost.
I agree with you.
We're in February. He still doesn't know his best 11. He's still tinkering and playing players out of position. He's still not got the midfield balance right. He's still I just don't understand it at all. And then
My-
even
my-
it's
I'm surprised it's coming from Staffy. I'm surprised it's coming from Staffy, considering how he feels about Ten Hag.
It is. I hate this Ten Hag comparison,
my
bro. It
question
pisses
is-
me
my
off when people
question
say
is-
that.
My question
Because
is,
the guy hasn't been
if
good
we-
tactically.
Don,
Man. It's the same thing as Poch.
Don, if we play the same way we did yesterday, the next 4 games, but we only win 1 game, are you gonna be angry with Poch? That's gonna be my question.
No,
because you're saying that what we did what we did yesterday worked,
Mhm.
and that's
It
the way
did
we
work.
should be playing. So
Yes,
if
correct.
we do that, if we do that again for the next 4 games, but we only
Mhm.
win 1, what are you gonna say then?
Bro, I've said a million and one times. If Pochettino was setting us up week in, week out, or majority of the time that he's been here correctly, and it's the players that keep letting us down in front of goal, or they're just having poor performances, they're not doing what needs to be done, but him as a manager setting us up, I'd crash it on the players more. But like I said at the start of the season, Hannah was on the show in the summer, on the top 6, and she was saying, they need basically what Staffy is saying, they need time to gel, and the generic things that you get with a new team and the new players. And I said, we're not going to build no chemistry and no cohesion with multiple guys out of position, especially young players, right? Especially young players. You can only get away with doing stuff like that when you've got a team like Man City. Like last season, Rico Lewis, he came into Man City's team. He's a young player, right? And he was, inverting from fullback into the midfield. He wasn't doing it as good as he was like this season, to be fair, but he had experienced players around him. But Pochettino, week after week, killing Levi Cole at left back, wasting everyone's time playing Ben Chilwell at left wing, playing Enzo Fernandez as a 10 and making everyone think Enzo's a bad player when last season, Graham Potter Graham Potter was using this guy better than what he's been doing. But the big problem with Pochettino is that the big problem with Pochettino is that he's misprofiled a lot of these players. And yesterday, when he stripped it back and just took it back to basics and kept it simple, dropped guys like Sterling, who've been poor for weeks. Silva, we don't need him in every game. It's time to phase him out. You know what I'm saying? And put out a balanced, nice lineup. We played a lot better. And that's the main thing that I've been speaking about. No one's saying Pochettino this year go and win the league. No one's saying Pochettino even finish in the top 4.
No, your fan base thinks the minute he leaves, you guys are going to become a top 6 team, and this is what pisses me off. There's no proof.
Okay, that's fine. That's my fan base.
Delusion, bro.
My expectations this season, was to get back into Europe. I predicted that would finish top 4, right? I predicted would finish top 4, but minimum for me was at least top 6. Get in the top 6, and every competition that we're in with 1 game a week, I want to go for it. But he has not been able to do the bare minimum. We are in February and we're 11th. And a big part of that, is the mess that he's created week after week. How can a championship manager in Michael Carrick, mid-table, say that we exploited the left-hand side because Levi Cole was over there? But then the next week he's starting there again, being killed. And this was one of the best young players last year. This year he's looking like a magnet over there, like a fridge. Do you know what I'm saying? So for me, I have to look at how this guy's used the team. It has not been good enough. Yes, I know he should have been given more experience. That's a different debate. But end of the day, the guy's gone downstairs, looked in his cupboard, there's bare ingredients, and he keeps burning the food. That's what he's been doing all season. He keeps burning the food. There's enough in the cupboard right now for him to work with, and he has not been using them correctly. That's the point with Pochettino.
He's trying to find a formula. And
he's not finding a formula because he keeps persisting.
Yeah, we're in February. He's been persistent. How long are you going to give him?
Staffy, how? What do you mean doesn't matter? What do you mean doesn't matter? What do you mean it doesn't matter?
He finished last season for the same.
So why am I seeing Enzo Fernandez against Everton overlapping that left wing, bro? Enzo Fernandez. Why am I consistently seeing guys out of position when guys are fit, bro? Are you telling me he's trying to find a solution? Come on, man. Come on, man. You're better than that.
Literally.
And you do tactics a lot as well.
The up and down, listen, the up and down that you've been through this season is exactly what's supposed to happen. And this is what I'm trying to say.
No, not this way, bro. Not this way.
Bro,
not this way, bro.
What? But why? No one can literally tell me why outside of the almighty Chelsea. No, I'll be saying it shouldn't take this long.
11th is crazy.
11th is crazy. Long, bro.
Listen, 11th is 100% sackable. This is why I agreed with you. I was like, if we're gonna talk based on just the results, 100% is sackable. But the Chelsea fans, when I hear them talk, bro, I swear they say the craziest thing. They think the minute he leaves, their problems are solved. Your problems are not getting solved for years and years to come.
I don't hear any Chelsea fans saying that stuff. Honestly,
but maybe you need to be on YouTube more, LB, because I'm hearing all of them say that.
Staffy,
right now, he changed the formation. He changed the lineup the last 4 games. Bro, he's supposed to do that.
Most Chelsea fans that I come to is say exactly what Don just said. This squad should be competing for a minimum 6, 7th, 6th.
But tell me why. I want to know why. Why should they be top 6?
Finish 7th. You tell me those players are not good enough to finish 7th.
I want to know why they should be top 6. What is the proof? Based on what? What are the credentials?
I just told you the proof stuff here. The players. You don't think those players are good enough to finish at least?
Based on the fact.
When have they ever finished top 6?
No, based on the fact.
They should finish top 7.
Come on, man.
Bro,
no, we're all saying we should. But based on what we're saying we should, I'm just trying to be logical about it. Why should they be top 6?
Let me tell you why.
This is a new team. This is actually a disrespect. Listen, bro, hold on.
Ask the question.
Every team that finished in the top 6 last year, why all of a sudden a new squad with an average age of 23 is supposed to come in and finish above them? Please explain to me.
Let me explain it then, bro. You asked that question about 3 times, right? Me, before Pochettino came in, so many people slandered me. Why do you want this Pochettino guy? Out of the options that we had, Nagelsmann, Enrique, Mourinho, Zidane, I looked at him as the best option because of the young players that we've got. And there's clear evidence of him developing guys like Luke Shaw, Klein at Southampton, Lallana at Southampton. He went to Spurs. He developed Harry Kane. He developed all these guys, all these young players. I said, it makes sense for him to come in. He should be able to stabilize the team at least. Whether he can win us stuff or not, I don't know. I'm skeptical about that, because the guy, every time we got to a final or something, he would bottle it. So I don't know if he can win us stuff, but at least he can stabilize us. Bro, we are 11th. It's not like a situation where we're asking for Poch to get sacked and we're 6th or we're 7th. We are 11th in January. And you guys love to remind us how much money that we've spent. It is unacceptable, to be in 11th with the squad that he's got, right? Because everyone's had injuries, bro. Why can Ange Postecoglou deal with that injury crisis that he had better than him? I know why. Because he's a good coach. Anyone that comes in knows the instructions, that they know the game plan that needs to be implemented. When they came to Old Trafford and played you lot, look at their midfield, bruv. Højbjerg, yeah, Skip, and what's his name? Who's the other guy that you started, Patrick? What's his name? Bentancur, right? And they looked more well drilled than you guys. Ended up, they could have won that game. In my opinion, they were the better team.
Yeah, but the squad is not new, right? And they haven't spent.
But the squad's not new, but that quality, like I said, is not good. It's not good quality. But guess what? They've got a manager that knows what he's doing and is implementing a clear game plan. Poch has not been implementing a clear game plan. He's been overcomplicating things. And like I've said 1,001 times, you've got young players. You need to build the easiest platform for them. They're kids, bro. Easiest platform for them to play well, right? These are not seasoned pros, like you've said. Everything that you've said, I agree with it. But guess what? Poch has not been making it easy for them. He's been treating these guys as if they've been playing the game for years and years and years. When it's not that, bruv. You can't be playing Levi Cole or a left back like this all season.
Guys, I'm going to go to
he's barely even played that centre back, bruv.
I'm going to go to the super chats here on this subject. I want to see what Nathaniel here, who's a long-standing viewer and Chelsea fan of the Terrace, says Poch needs to earn time by winning trophies, win the Carabao Cup or FA Cup or both, and give him time. But for now, I want him out because his tactics have been awful. Trophies and consistency equals time. This here from Odudu, I think it's pronounced, says... I might have said that right or wrong. I didn't want to say it wrong. Okay. I said it wrong.
No, Odudu, it's a thing.
Okay, I just didn't.
It's just funny. It's just funny.
Oh, sorry. I apologize if anyone's upset. Not really. Chelsea fans would talk about how their underlying stats are good, but would rather blame the coach rather than the players. If Poch is as bad as you say, your underlying stats would tell.
The top five. The top five. One second. The top five in big chances created this season. Top five, and I think they're second in big chances missed. And I never sit here and I hear, as much as I hear Poch hate, I don't hear the same hate towards the players for being not good enough. And this is the issue that I'm having. If we're being fair here and we're addressing the players, saying, okay, these players are not good enough, and we overspent for them, then I would sit here and agree with Don. But like, you know what? At least we're sitting here and acknowledging there's two issues here: the players and the manager. But all you hear from Chelsea fans is Poch out.
Nah, bro,
why do we not talk about Sterling? Why do we not talk about Sterling being an absolute waste of money? Hold on. Why do we not talk about Sterling being a complete waste of money?
So do talk about that.
On, man. Let me finish. Let me finish. Let me finish. Why do we not talk about Sterling? Are you gonna let me finish? Or you're just gonna interrupt me, bro? We don't talk about Sterling being a waste of money. We don't talk about most of these prospects being overpaid for. You can sit here and laugh. Broja just got sent to Fulham. That's the same striker they told me in the cup that he should have been starting instead of a Cole Palmer in the false nine. So if he's that good, why isn't he in Fulham right now? This is just a couple of examples of players.
Whoever said he should be starting ahead of Jackson, I don't know what they're smoking. Yeah,
no, Jackson was in AFCON. I don't care about that. I'm talking about him. Everyone's saying, "Oh, he should be playing. He should be playing. He should be playing." And now he's at Fulham.
Not everyone. Who's everyone? Most Chelsea
bro,
fans.
I work with a lot of Chelsea fans, and I watch a lot of Chelsea content, bro.
Yeah, but bro,
I feel like they're so alienated.
I'm literally in group chats with a bunch of Chelsea fans, bro, and most of them were saying that Broja is not good enough and he needs to go.
But that's the example that I'm trying to say.
With these underlying things, let's not do revisionism, because at the time we were performing a lot better than the results. Yeah, we weren't getting results, but we're performing better. Staffy, I remember I'd done a preview on your channel, right? We jumped on before the Arsenal game, and Arsenal fans were basically saying they're going to come to Chelsea, they're going to batter us. I said, bro, I watch us week in, week out, and right now we're not a team that you can just batter. Off the ball, we're well drilled, and like I said, if we can take our chances, we've got every chance of beating Arsenal, right? Because we were playing better before. But like I've said a million times, after the international break, when we came back and we lost to Brentford, we have regressed week after week after that. That was the time when we lost to Brentford, we lost to Newcastle, we drew against Man City, we lost to United. We regressed.
That's inconsistency.
We got worse. No, it's not inconsistency. It was the way this manager set us up. Why is it? It's not a coincidence that Liverpool had their best first half against us. It's not a coincidence that you still had your best game against us, by the way. That's not a coincidence. And week after week, what happened the following week, actually, up when you beat us? I think you lost that game, didn't you? After you beat us, you went back to the same nonsense. You went back to the same nonsense. We got battered by Newcastle, right? We got battered by Wolves the other day at home. Beat us for the first time at the Bridge since 1979. It's not a coincidence, bro. Yes, the players, again, we should have bought more experience. That's not an excuse. But you keep ignoring how this manager's been setting us up, bro. you're ignoring it, and you're trying to gaslight us.
I get
No,
that.
I'm not.
Before I do more super chat, Patrick, you were about to say something at that other super chat.
Yeah, I was just saying that. I think it was to Staffy. I said like I live in Tottenham. I live in London. I'm surrounded by Chelsea, Arsenal fans, whatever. I don't see the Chelsea fans that you keep referring to, Staffy. These guys are critical of their manager. They're critical of the players. You keep saying that you're seeing all these people that saying all these things that are not onto the players. They are. Like, they're not happy with the manager. They're not happy with the players. Not happy with the way they're set up. Obviously, regardless of who the manager is, whether it's Zidane, whether it's X, Y, and Z, if the manager's not showing simple things and getting the basics right, fans will turn. That's just standard, isn't it? Like, yes, as a Chelsea fan, realistically, you aim for top 4 at least, top 6. But when you're 11th and you're like 15 points off the top 4 and performance after performance, there's nothing to show and get these guys excited for. Obviously, before Aston Villa, fans are going to turn on the manager. That is pretty standard. And yeah, Chelsea fans have been spoiled in the past, but no one should be subjected to the football that they're seeing at the moment. Pochettino is misprofiling players. He's playing players out of position. The substitutions are awful. He's not reacting to how the game's going. I'm just seeing so much stuff, and I'm like, what happened to the Poch I used to love at Tottenham? Now, when Poch went to Chelsea in the summer, as you know on here, I was scared. I was worried because I know how good Poch was with young players. I know how good he was at developing players. I've seen none of that Pochettino there. The guy's washed up. He's finished. And
Has Cole Palmer not developed?
And this is a guy, Staffy. This is a guy that hates
Yeah,
Chelsea.
he has.
This is a guy that hates Chelsea saying this.
Has Nicholas Jackson not become a
No, he hasn't. Come on, Nicholas.
No, I agree with that. He has.
Has Malo Gusto not become a
Nah, Cole Palmer was already balling. Cole Palmer's been balling because of Pep, man. And he's a baller anyway. It's not
I was
Poch.
about to say that. If you let me land, Cole Palmer, the ingredients and the
That's so
pedigree was
distinct.
there. You saw him at the Euros. You saw him at Man City. The guy is a good player. So irrespective of Poch or whoever. But I haven't really seen Poch develop any of the other guys. Have you?
The irony, Patrick, as well. When Cole Palmer first came in, he wasn't even starting games. His first game that he started was in the Carabao Cup against Brighton. Yeah, no one can tell me, oh, it's a new team, this is that. No, the guy had a full preseason. He came on against Burnley when Man City played Burnley first game of the season, and he scored in a Community Shield against Arsenal. He was ready to come straight in.
And Cole
Palmer's
the anomaly. He's the
in,
anomaly.
kept playing Gallagher.
You can't base Pochettino's thing off.
And
Cole
also,
Palmer.
to be fair, it has been 6 months. Seeing how you're going to judge it on growth.
It's been more than 6 months. He was in the summer.
Yeah, he had a full preseason.
It's more like halfway through the season.
Yeah,
so like,
guys, I'm going to do some more super chats here. This is any enterprise trying to turn things around has to give the person a minute. A minimum amount of time. What is that in the Prem? It's a really good question. I don't think there is any set amount of time. It's all about the circumstances at that club. You take over from Pep Guardiola's winning team, you can't be given 4 years to get it right because there is no rebuild that's needed when Pep leaves. It's just you come in and you win or you go. You take over Man United this summer with all the changes we've got going on, you should give a manager more time. However, if they're sitting 13th in the league after 7 or 8 months, you might move them on. There is no set rule, in my opinion. Blaze here says, I don't want to hear these injury excuses. Potts could have done the same setup earlier because the whole lineup of his players he had available this season. Blaze also comes back. He also comes here. Yeah. Staffy here says, why do you want Ten Hag out? What makes you think that Mainoo and Garnacho are better than 5 positions? Surely Ten Hag deserves time to fix what he inherited.
I can't believe I'm going to waste time responding to this. First of all, I never said we're 5 positions better than this because we're sitting 6th, and I think you're assuming that we should be winning the league. If you want to come at me, at least be correct. I'm one of the few people who sat on this platform and said we're not good enough to compete, and Terry could tell you this because I argued with Terry that we're not good enough to compete this year, and he thought we would. So maybe you should be saying that to Terry, not to me. Now, secondly, that you just named 2 players, Mainoo and Garnacho.
Why if me?
Team,
what did I do?
I'm just saying because you're the one who's
just sitting there chilling, bro.
I'm just saying.
He's asking you because I think Pot should go. You don't. That's why he's coming
Exactly,
for you.
yeah,
No, but he's asking that because he's basically saying, why do I want Ten Hag out if I think we should be winning the league? I don't think we should be winning the league.
No. He's not. He's not. He's saying to you, Blaze is saying, you're saying Poch has got to go, shouldn't go, should be given time, etc. But he believes you're not giving that same energy to Ten Hag. That's why he's challenging you.
Yes, I get it. And he's saying, I'm basically expecting us to be 5 positions better, which is first place because we're sitting in 6th. That's the only reason I said that. I don't think we should be 5 positions better than we are. The reason I want Ten Hag out is different, though, because he doesn't have a style of play in his second year after spending 400 million. And I already believed from the signings that he made in the summer before a ball was kicked that he's misprofiling players. The way he signed players based on what I thought this team needs was different. So when I saw him going for the likes of Mount, when I thought we need a deeper midfielder, that was actually what started it for me. Going into the season, when he technically regressed from 3rd to wherever we are right now, because we were 9th, now we're 6th, by definition, he actually regressed. He didn't inherit this team this year because he was there last year, but he managed to take this team down a few positions, and actually performances have dropped and actually results have dropped, which is why it led me to saying this. So I had at least last year to compare to what he's doing this year. Poch doesn't have that. And I hope that makes sense.
I get
Poch,
you.
Poch left his principles very similar to your manager because in
Preseason,
preseason, even Terry was saying
That is
Chelsea
true. Yeah,
looks
preseason,
scary.
yeah.
Chelsea looks scary.
Chelsea did look really good in the summer.
You see?
This year, it says the biggest criminals in all of this are Winstanley and Stewart. They need to go. They ruin this club. Get rid and get Vivell or Paul Mitchell is what the Daniel.
Terry, you see, just one point before I go because I've got to shoot. Yeah, on Winstanley and Stewart. Yeah, I think they've made mistakes in bringing in too much youth. But at the same time, I can't. There's guys like Gusto they've brought in, Petrovic that they've brought in. Even like I said, Badiashile. I know he hasn't been good the past few weeks, but he's a good player when you set him up correctly as well. Do you know what I'm saying? So I think for them, if they're not going to get sacked, because I don't think they're going to get sacked, they just need to make sure that they now start to bring in experience. Do you know what I mean? But people, listen, it's been a good show so far. Big up the chat, man. Big up Terry. I've got to shoot.
All right, mate. Top man. Cheers. Thank you, bro. Thank you. Moving on from Chelsea, and where Patrick just disappeared to then as well.
Patrick is here.
Yeah, that bleep was coming from Rory's background. Actually, I muted his line. But welcome back, Rory. By the way, it's a long time no see.
Yeah, thank you. Is it still beeping? Is that?
It was when you weren't talking. Sometimes it's just but hopefully that seems to have gone now, which is good.
Nice.
It seems to have
By
gone.
the way, can you not see me? You said I'm not here. I'm here.
Oh no, it's not you that fell off. Somebody else fell off. Who else disappeared?
Okay.
Then?
Okay, cool.
It wasn't Papati moved along. It was somebody else that was here.
No,
David.
Don dropped, and
David
changed
and
the
David.
David.
David. Yeah. I
Yeah,
forgot.
2 people dropped, and I was like, I swear somebody else. And it's because Patrick went along, and I was looking in the hole where Patrick was. I got all confused for a moment. Moving on from Chelsea, Declan Rice returns to West Ham this weekend. It's also a really big game for Arsenal to cement that Liverpool win. How are you feeling about it, Rory? Do you think that you're going to handle the pressure? Can you lay the ghost to rest? I've got that saying right now, LB, by the way. Lay the ghost to rest from last year. Because obviously the last few weeks have been great for Arsenal. The win against Liverpool, massive. How do you see this weekend going with Rice's return to West Ham?
Yeah, I'm feeling confident actually. I think because of what West Ham have done to us this season, beating us twice, there's kind of an added layer of motivation. You've just beaten Liverpool. If you don't go and beat West Ham, beating Liverpool was completely pointless. And also, West Ham are actually struggling a little bit. The last time they won a game was against us at the end of December. So I think they're struggling. I think we've looked a lot fresher off the back of the Dubai trip. And I'm expecting us to actually go and put 4 or 5 past them.
4 or 5 at their ground. Rivals to that, like Michael, I'm going to go to first. How do you see Arsenal getting on? They've been accused of over celebrating. A lot of pundits like Rio Ferdinand have said that the win wasn't even that impressive. It means nothing. Do you see Arsenal going from strength to strength here and having a brilliant second half of the season, or is the jury still out in your opinion?
Every time I say Arsenal are going to do the strength to strength, they always somehow find a way to lose a match. Like against West Ham at the Emirates, they should have won that match. They lost 2-0. But I do think the Liverpool win was actually a massive win, and it wasn't even that they won. They didn't do a snatch and grab. They dominated Liverpool from minute 1 to 90. So that kind of confidence boost is really big to have. But it's always those away trips for Arsenal that are always tricky. And we saw them the one that they had against Fulham a month ago. Now you have West Ham, who, I mean, Roy's right. They have been struggling. We just beat them on the weekend, and they didn't look that good. So it's tricky, but I don't know. I think with Arsenal, it's like also once that UCL starts again, right? How will they be able to cope with that pressure? Because every single time Arsenal have, like last year in Europe, they should have beaten Sporting. I know they said they had bigger fish to fry and all that kind of stuff, but it wasn't like they were playing some top tier European like club. They were playing Sporting. The tie was in their hands when they went back to the Emirates in the second leg, and they bottled it. They had they had a pretty strong team in that game, and they lost. So I think that might play a factor later in the season. But for right now, I think I don't know what their schedule is like coming up, but for this game specifically on Sunday, I think they will do the job. Also, I think it's very hard to beat the same team three times in the same season, especially for someone like West Ham to beat a team of the caliber of Arsenal 3 times. I think that will be a struggle. I think Arteta is a good enough coach to realize his mistakes from the first 2 matches and kind of adjust. If he doesn't, then that's just on him. Then if they lose again, then you, instead of looking at the players, you have to look at Arteta, because losing to the same team 3 times in the season, that is more of a coaching issue than a player issue, because you got to figure out how to like break down a David Moyes low block after 3 times. So I think that's kind of my take on it.
How do you see it, Patty? Obviously, you don't like West Ham or Arsenal as a Spurs fan. Do you see Arsenal having improved since their sort of winter break? Or are you still unconvinced? But a lot of people are still saying Arsenal have not been as good this year. They're still very unconvincing. How do you see Arsenal, and how do you think that will reflect itself on the pitch against West Ham Sunday afternoon?
Yeah, there's 2 different points you raised there, Terry. Have Arsenal been as good as, or have they looked as good on the eye as they did this time last year? No. Have they improved in recent games? Yes, they have. Like against Liverpool, they were the better team by far. They controlled the whole game. They deserved to win. Begrudgingly, I've got to say that. Going into the West Ham game, of course, I hate both teams, but I hate Arsenal a lot more than West Ham. And just because of where Arsenal are, I'd rather West Ham win the game. But realistically, when you look at the 2 teams, Arsenal should win that game. And yeah, Arsenal been scoring more goals recently. One of the issues we spoke about was that they weren't creating enough. They're creating chances, but they weren't tucking them away. In the last couple of games, they've put quite a few past the teams. Like even Liverpool, they scored 3. So yeah, realistically, Arsenal should win it. It's a strange one, because last year they were a swashbuckling team, very exciting, easy on the eye, but they didn't really control games, and there was moments where they would obviously collapse in games, especially at the latter stages of the season. This year they haven't been as swashbuckling and as gung-ho, but they are controlling and suffocating teams more. Hence why Liverpool probably didn't really create much in that game. So, only time will tell if Arteta gets it right in terms of where they finish and how close they are to the eventual winners if they win the league. But yeah, man, West Ham haven't been that good recently. And I do agree with the point that if Arsenal lose again, then it's definitely something that the manager needs to look at himself, because you can't lose, especially to a team like, with all due respect, West Ham. When you look at Arsenal and West Ham, Arsenal are a much better team. They should be winning this game. Especially when you see City are picking up steam, and obviously Liverpool, even though they lost, they're still a very, very good team, and they're going to go from strength to strength. But yeah, I do think Arsenal will win this one. I don't know if it'll be comfortable, because West Ham at home is going to be a tough one, but I do expect Arsenal to at least score a couple goals.
Yeah, LB, how do you see it? Obviously, you guys have got the chance before them to go top of the league. That will, I'm sure you're going to win that match. Liverpool play at home against Burnley. I think everyone's sure they're going to win that match. So there could be again a significant gap between Arsenal and Liverpool and Arsenal and City when this game kicks off. And I think that's more likely than not to happen. How do you see Arsenal handling that, going to a ground last year where they, weren't beaten, but threw away that 2-0 lead, already lost to them twice this year? Do you see Arsenal being mentally resilient enough to win this game, or is it just they're a far superior team and they'll be okay? How do you see it going, mate?
Yeah, I think Arsenal win the game. West Ham not doing too good at the moment. I've just checked. Apparently, Paqueta's still not available. Wasn't in training today. Which is no surprise to me, because I thought he was going to be back like towards the end of February. And then everyone started saying he's going to be back for Arsenal. He's back for Arsenal. I was like, what? So yeah, I think I'm not as confident as maybe Rory would be in Arsenal getting like a 4-5-0 or whatever. He said quite a few goals, maybe like a 2-0, something like that. But You know, Arsenal showed me in that Liverpool game a lot more than just a performance, and it was the way they handled the game. Because before the game, I predicted the Liverpool win, but I said nothing to do with the players on the pitch, purely based on how the emotions of the game would be. We know Arsenal are a very emotional team, and I just thought Arsenal would sort of like get too emotional and bottle it. They actually didn't. They handled it really, really well. Even in the second half, where Liverpool maybe had a 5-10 minute spell, they didn't start panicking or anything like that. They handled it really well. So they need to go to West Ham and win this game. Like Rory said, if they don't, then well done. That Liverpool win was for absolutely nothing. And I think they'll go there and maybe not make light work of it, but I think they'll get the job done. I'm going for maybe a 2-0 win. And yeah, then they can kick on. And the thing is for me, yeah, I think Arsenal need to win every game now until the City match. And then I think they probably need to beat City. So do I think Arsenal are going to win the league? No. Why? Because I think to do it, they're going to have to go on a mad run. They're going to have to win the next. I think they've got 6 Premier League matches until the City game. I genuinely believe they need to win them all. Yeah. And then I think they need to beat City at the Etihad. Now, maybe if they win all of them, maybe they could take a draw depending on what happens with City. So they're under a lot of pressure. Can they do it? Yeah, of course they can do it. They've got a good team. Will they do it? We'll wait and see. But listen, I think they'll win this game. I think City win. I think Liverpool win. I think Arsenal win. I think we all win this weekend.
Yeah.
We'll move on again.
Staffy, on the game aside, a lot of people were judging Arsenal as whether or not they're a good team is on the basis of can they beat this City team to a Premier League title. Surely not being able to beat this City team to a title, but being in a title race with them makes you a very good team.
I mean, they are a good team. Let's be honest. On paper, they're a good team. The results in the past couple of years have shown they're a good team. As much as we like to poke fun at them sometimes, including myself, but if I'm being objective here, of course they are a good team. You don't find yourself in the position that you're in right now as the season stands. If you're not a good team, it's currently looking like a 3-horse race, and they're one of the 3 horses. So yes, indeed, they're a good team to find themselves in this position. The thing is, do you want me to talk about the game or do you just
yeah. Go on. Yeah, of course.
yeah. So I think LB just said it. If you don't go on to next game and win, the Liverpool win kind of looks useless now, and I agree with that 100%. West Ham, let's be honest. The last year, yes, I understand what happened at London Stadium and all that, but they're not currently a good team. They're really bad. Like we just seen them. Maybe they played a little bit decent against us, but yet again, we're not currently at that that Arsenal quality. I think Arsenal are gonna put a much better game against them than we did. But it's not, to me, it's not about the opponent right now. It's about the mentality in that Arsenal team. I want to see if this Arsenal team, now that the pressure is back on them, they're going to be able to cope with it. Because we've seen Liverpool do that. We've seen City do that. How many times did we discount City? We're like, oh my God, they look weaker now. De Bruyne is injured. Haaland is injured. And then by January, we're like, wow, look at them. They're actually back in the race, and they didn't even get their best players back. So imagine what happens when they're there. That's a team that's used to putting that pressure on them because they're going to be like, no, we're still here. That's what Arsenal just did. They beat Liverpool, and everyone came out and said, no, we're still here. We are in this race. You can't discount us. Now, I want to make sure that if that's true, then go ahead and win the next game. And they're going away to West Ham. And it's more, to me, and right now, it's more of a mental thing than a footballing thing. Because on paper and on the pitch, I know that Arsenal are quality compared to West Ham. And this West Ham team is weaker. They've sold a couple players in January, like Benrahma and Pablo Fornals. Paqueta's still out injured. I don't think he's going to play the game. I think he still has a week or two based on what David Moyes said a few days ago. So I don't think he's going to be in this team, in the squad. They resorted to 3 in the back. They're not the West Ham that kind of started the season. So they're looking a lot weaker to me. And I think they're starting a free fall. And this is a part of it. I just want to see if this Arsenal team can keep up with the pressure. They have the mentality to go and say, listen, it doesn't matter who we're facing today. We need to go and smash them because we just forced ourselves back in the title race, and we're here for as long as we can be. We want to go the whole way. So to me, it's going to be more of a mental thing. I think by just footballing ability, if you tell me what's the score, I'm going to be like, oh, easy 2-3-0. If we scored 3 past them, I think anyone could. So I could easily say 3-0 Arsenal. But I just want to see the mentality thing. I want to see if they're going to be able to go to the London Stadium where they failed last year, and it kind of started that whole thing of them not winning the league. and put all that behind them. Be like, nope, it doesn't have to do with anything that happened last year. We're here. We're gonna go all the way with this league, and we're gonna smash this team right in front of us. So it's gonna be an interesting watch. I will predict an Arsenal win, but I'm interested to see how they're gonna respond after the Liverpool game.
Rory, Declan Rice returns. A lot's being made of this, more so by West Ham fans, it must be said. They're very much obviously looking to give him a little bit of hell. How do you think he's going to handle that atmosphere Sunday?
I think he'll be fine. I don't think there's much of an atmosphere at the London Stadium anyway, to be honest. So I don't think he's going to be
They're too far to be heard. They're too far.
Yeah, exactly. So I think he'll be fine. I don't really. It is weird the way that West Ham fans have kind of gone about the whole Declan Rice situation anyway. Like, I don't think he left them on bad terms. But some of their fan base at least seem to really dislike him for it. So yeah, I think he'll be fine. And I would love it if he scored. I would love it if he scored and then silenced the whole crowd when it shushed them. But I don't think that's really in his character.
I think he's gonna thrive under that. He just seems like that type of player that, like, once they start booing him or whatever and like just giving him shit, I think like he's gonna laugh it off, and I think he's gonna feed him into like, you know, like, I want to actually play good today because I want to show them I'm still that player. You know what I'm saying? I think he's gonna feed off that.
I think Rice is one of the reasons that Arsenal was so much calmer this year. As much as I think they've missed at times some of the attacking element of Granit Xhaka. Granit Xhaka was a hothead where when things got a little bit on top, that guy would do silly things. He did it at Anfield as an example when he didn't need to, and he got the Anfield crowd back up, and that was a catalyst to that game. Declan Rice is such a calming figure. He's such a good leader that, yes, you've lost to West Ham twice this year, but I wouldn't put that down to things that he'd done wrong. It was more about your team not finishing chances per se. Well, in the cup, to be fair, they were pretty good. In the league, it was just about your front men not putting the ball in the back of the net. So I agree with you, Staffy. I think that he thrives on this kind of pressure. He's been one of the best signings this season. He's been one of the best players in the Premier League this season. So yeah, I can't see anything but another stellar performance. I mean, is he dropped less than a 7 out of 10, 7.5 out of 10 all season? Patty, this kid.
Probably the only game was the West Ham game. That was probably the only game he's had a stinker by his standards, you know. Other than that, he's been really good. Like, well, obviously better than really good. And even in the Liverpool game, he was just sweeping up, calming the guys down, you know, pushing the ball, creating the second and third phase of the attack. Yeah, he's a quality player. But I was saying this when he was at West Ham. I saw how good he was, and he's coming to Arsenal and just taking it like a duck to water kind of thing. He's just leveled up. So yeah, top player, man, top player. I hope he has a bad game. Do you know what I mean? I hope they all have a bad game. But realistically, he's quality, man. So you got to give him his flowers because he is a good player. Well, he's an exceptional player. So yeah, but yeah, that's where my praise stops, man. I can't do this no more.
I hear you. By the way, I just want to shout Rory out as well. Rory didn't go missing because Arsenal lost a few games. He let KJ know, by the way, before they played to go top of the league at Christmas, he had already said to us he's moving house, he's got some internet issues, and he's going to be away for like a month or so. So just if someone does disappear after their team starts losing, I will call them out. But Rory did it ahead of time, to be fair.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I saw those comments. We were top of the league when I'd already gone at that point. So yeah, nothing to do with losing.
I know.
Bro, people like to police whenever people lose anyways. They always do that to me. Oh, where were you when United lost? First of all, we lost like 14 games. So if you didn't see me after all these games, that's your issue. Secondly, unfortunately, I'm not employed by all these channels that you want me to be on. So no worry.
In terms of the Rice partnership, Rory, does it have Jorginho to start with him again, in your opinion? Should that be a partnership that's now explored for a few weeks?
So one issue is that Jorginho has basically been injured all season. So he's been in the squad every game, apart from one, I think, but he's carrying like a persistent injury. So I don't know if we're going to play him in back-to-back games at any point. It is a really good partnership. I think it's a really important partnership for the big games. For a game like this, I reckon you can probably get away. I'd quite like to see Edmund Smith-Rowe back in there again, where you're going to have a lot of the ball and someone like Smith-Rowe that can pick the ball up and run with it and drive at that West Ham defense, I think is probably better. But yeah, it's an important partnership that they've got, Jorginho and Rice. I expect that when we go away to the Etihad, we'll definitely see that.
Fair dude. Predictions for this game, Michael. What you going with?
2-1 Arsenal.
Staffy?
2-0 Arsenal.
LB, you've already said 2-0, right? 2-0 to Arsenal you went with. Patty, Chatty Patty?
3-1 Arsenal.
And you standing by your original prediction, Rory?
I said, what did I say? We'll score 4 or 5. Yeah, I'll go 4-1. I'll go 4-1 as the result.
4-1. That's a big. I'm going to go 2-0 as well. This year from AMT says, won't be surprised if Jorginho replaces Rice. Bring him on later.
No chance.
Rice.
No chance.
There's no way Rice would allow Mikel Arteta to drop him for the return game. Can you imagine all the West Ham fans saying he ducked it? No chance.
Wait, so this person, AMT, wants to see a midfield of Jorginho, I'm assuming
Smith
Havertz
Rowe.
and Odegaard?
Wait, it's like
Is that the midfield?
That's still good enough to beat West Ham, though. Let's be real. But it's not going to happen, is it?
It's not going to happen, is it?
Definitely going to play. But yeah, that's still good enough to beat West Ham. Let's not act like the other guys are. I know Kai Havertz isn't everyone's cup of tea, but the rest is still good enough to beat this West Ham team.
That midfield has zero physicality in it. What do you mean that's a good midfield?
Sorry, who's in your midfield again? Odegaard,
Odegaard,
Jorginho.
Havertz, and Jorginho. Yeah.
It's good
There's no
enough to
breakup
beat
play
that.
there.
Yeah, but it's good enough to beat that West Ham team.
Suchek is scoring like 2 headers on that.
That's what I'm saying. There's zero physicality in that.
He could. Halftime Hooks here is calling that LB. He says, if we do that, as in win, will you praise us or will you move the goalposts? Let's lock in LB.
I don't know what he means, man. I literally praised Arsenal, and then Arsenal fans in the chat were saying I'm salty. I was like, what? I literally praised you. I said you did really good. I said you're going to beat West Ham, you're going to beat him 2-0. What do you want me to say?
You know what? LB's praise. I love LB's praise. Usually his praise is like for later on. So if you actually don't achieve this, you'd be like, wow, you let me down. I was actually praising you. How'd you guys lose? Even I was saying you guys are a good team. It's that type of praise. So like later on, no one could say he's a hater. It's more of like, wow, we actually let LB down. Because even as a rival, he thought we were better than that.
That's that Pep type of praise. Pep be complimenting teams too. Like they're so good. They're so good. The attack is so good, and then they beat 5-0.
AMTV actually can come back to wrong. He'd go with Smith Rowe, Jorginho, Odegaard.
It's still zero physicality in that midfield.
Yeah, that's the one thing. The lack of physicality would worry me.
Yeah, I don't know. To be fair, I remember we went away to Newcastle last season, and Jorginho played as the 6 by himself, and we got away. It did all right. He's a very intelligent player, which kind of allows him to make up for the lack of physicality.
Get that? If you're not English, you're probably not going to get this reference, right? Or British, but that midfield, it's like the Mitchell family without Phil and Grant. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's if you don't watch EastEnders, you don't get it. It's like the Mitchell family.
What you saying?
Phil and Grant.
Jorginho's Billy Mitchell? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And you got Ronnie and Roxy either side. Do you know what I mean? With the hair whips, bro. That's what you got. But yeah,
man.
you need Phil and Grant in there. Do you know what I mean? I know the American boys are like, who the hell are Phil and Grant?
Just
They're
pretended to
legends.
laugh. That's all I did.
They're legends. They're legends. You probably I guarantee you guys have seen memes of Phil Mitchell. Like you've definitely seen memes
With the
of him in-
alcohol bottle. The alcohol bottle.
He's like a
Definitely.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
He's
The
from
boat.
one of our soaps, yeah.
I
So
got you.
that's what that midfield is. Halftime Hooks here says big smoke. West Ham 0, Arsenal 4. Trust me, Gooners. It's a big claim. That is a big claim. AMTV also put this in. He said in the last 10 FA Cup wins, Arsenal has the most 4. I'm ashamed. Is that true? You've won 4 FA Cups in the last 10 years. Jeez,
Yeah.
isn't it? How
Yeah,
many?
but
How many you
no
had,
one-
Patty? How
I'm
many in the last?
logging
How
up.
many in the last 20 have you had, Patty?
Yeah, let's move on, man. Let's move
You
on.
make it. Do you make it into the 30? You don't even make the 30s anymore, do you? You're over 30.
Next super chat, please, Cal. Next super chat.
George here says, question is, are we ever going to see Partey, Rice, and Odegaard play together?
Give it up, brother. Give it up.
Yeah,
Give it
It's
a-
finito.
What
You
could
gotta
it
learn
be?
when to give it up.
What's more likely? I'm going to ask LB this question because he's from Manchester. What's more likely, seeing those three play together or Oasis getting back together?
Yeah, that's not happening, bro. That's not happening at all. Yeah.
You had your chance, and Arteta played him in right back. So just go back and watch the video recording of that. And that's about it. Because that's not happening, bro.
That's all you got. We're going to go on some other games in a minute, but I want to shout out our title sponsors again today at Match Bingo. Speak about them a lot. It's an amazing game to play during football matches because you haven't got to think about, what do I want to bet on? What do I think is going to happen? You literally buy a bingo card. And on that bingo card, there's a list of sort of free kicks and saves and throw-ins and when substitutions happen. And if those events take place, you literally tick off that number. It's done automatically. If you get the first line, you win money. You get the second line, you win money. If you're the first person to get a full house, you win money. One of the Football Terrace viewers who also signed up to play won £1,000 last week during the Chelsea versus Liverpool game. So there's lots of money to be won. During the City game this weekend, I've just done mine now. There's a free card being given away as well. So a free bingo card you can get to enter. Get it downloaded now. If you do, you'll get 10 free cards per month until the end of the season. Scan that QR code above my head or click on the link in our description below. This weekend as well, Spurs, you play 3 o'clock on Saturday. It's a rarity that we see our teams really play at that time. How are you feeling about it, Pat? Are you confident that you'll go on to, pick up the points?
Yeah, man, I am. We owe Brighton one. They smashed us 4-2 over the Christmas period. So yeah, we need to get one back on them. At home, most of the guys are back now. So yeah, I mean, our form's been decent. The draw away to Everton was annoying. It was coming. Like, if you're being fair and you watch the game, we looked kind of leggy and we were holding on and obviously giving away silly free kicks and they scored late on. But yeah, when you look at home against Brighton, who are sometime-ish on their day, they can be good, but they've not been good this season either. Yeah, I think we've got more than enough. I'm not sure Son will make the match day squad. He was back in training today. Obviously, Sar's back, Basuma's back. Yeah, we've been scoring a lot of goals. Need to do better on the clean sheet front. I'm quite pissed off that we keep conceding goals as well. But all in all, yeah, I feel confident going into that one. I think we're beating them quite comfortably, really, to be fair.
Anyone? I mean, they've had a bad run of late. Just what in terms of wins, it was 3-16, but they picked up a really good win against their rivals, Crystal Palace. Anyone see Brighton maybe going to White Hart Lane and pulling up a bit of a shock this weekend?
Maybe.
I think they could.
Yeah,
I think they could.
I'm surprised that he's so confident, man.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I be? Why wouldn't I be?
You've won one game. You've won one game in 3.
Yeah, and we've had obviously some of our players. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean that. Thumbs up, by the way. Yeah, we've had quite a few players
agreeing with me that you've won one game in 3, bro.
Yeah. No, I'm confident, man. I think this is where we will start picking up points again. It's not like we haven't been picking up points. We're still right bang in the mix, and yeah, we're at home. I think we'll be more than okay, man. Honestly, yeah.
I think it's a game that suits Brighton. Yeah. In terms of the way that Spurs play. Spurs, like, the defensive line looks exposed a lot, and a lot of the time they get away with it because they press so well. But Brighton are one of the best teams at playing through a press in the Premier League, and once you get through that press, Spurs are a bit frail at the back. So I could see it being a high-scoring game, and Brighton could come away with anything.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think if Spurs played a low block, I'd say easy win because Brighton might be the worst team in the league against a low block. They can't break one down to save their life. But against the high press of Spurs, the midfield's going to have to be pretty much perfect. And one loose touch, and Brighton will capitalize. And they have the game changes to kind of capitalize. Draw Pedro, he's good even at scoring, or drawing a pen and he'll score his pen because he's about 10 penalty goals this season. So I think they can capitalize. But I'd probably say a draw would probably be a more likely result.
Come on, man. You lot are doing us a massive disservice. Come on.
Bro, I rate your team. I love
really. You don't rate us. None of you lot are all saying, oh, yeah, Brighton are going to come away with something. And come on, man.
It's just
bro, they beat you for the first time. Why are you acting like this?
They beat us, but we're at home. We're one of the better teams in the league. You can look at all the metrics.
No one said you're not.
But then you're saying that Brighton are going to come and get points or get a
bro.
thing.
They just explained it objectively too. Rory just said they're one of the best teams in the league at building out from a press, and you guys are a high pressing team. So it does actually equate into something that you can look at this and be like, when you put those two together, yes, they could actually get a result against you guys. This is not a
Any team,
disservice.
any team can get a result against any team. Let's cut the crap. That's obvious. But I'm trying to say that most of the
We
guys
just
here
broke
are
down.
saying, and so did I. Like, are you gonna let me finish and let me explain myself? Like the same way you, every time when you're talking, you don't let us get a word in edgeways.
I wasn't laughing though when you were talking. You was laughing while I was talking.
No, I wasn't.
We can go back and look at the footage.
Okay, cool. Anyway, yeah, back to what I was saying. Any team can get a result against any team. That is football. But what I'm trying to say is when all of you guys are like, yeah, they're going to get a result, I think you're being quite disrespectful to how good of a team we are, especially when we're at home, especially with all the players we got back. I don't really see Brighton getting anything out of the result. And yeah, come back to me afterwards, innit, on Monday or whatever, as opposed to just saying, yeah, Brighton are going to do this and going to do that. We know how Tottenham play, but we also know how Brighton play. And we've seen how poor they've been this year, especially on the road.
Yeah, just to clarify, bro, I'm not saying that you can't win the game. I'm just surprised at your confidence levels. That's all.
Yeah, I think I'm more than okay to be confident. We've got Maddison now. We've got Sarr there. We've got Basuma. We've got obviously options off the bench again. Yeah, I don't see why we shouldn't be.
Yes. Should be a good game. Should be on TV.
Yeah, I think Spurs should be confident. I think Spurs should be confident. I think Spurs. I get why Brighton could get something out of this game. I don't think it's illogical to say that, but if it was away, 100%. But I think Spurs will win. I think it will be a high-scoring game. I think something like a 3-2 to Spurs, something along those lines. But I think Spurs will do it. I think just at home, the way that rightly or wrongly, that crowd they love Poch, Postecoglou. The noise is crazy. They're not that disheartened by some of the holes and problems. They're just full on loving what's going on right now. So, yeah, from my point of view, I think Spurs will do it. I'd like Spurs not to, the same as I want us to beat Aston Villa to, hopefully give us an opportunity of closing down on top four or at least making it exciting. But yeah, I think Spurs are going to win personally. I did say Poch by mistake. That was a Freudian slip. But Spurs let in the most goals in the top 6. Even Man United have let in less. Yeah, that's a massive. And you've let in more goals than any other team in the Prem, 90 minutes plus. So there's definitely frailties within the Spurs team, definitely.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I did say that. I said the clean sheet thing is really frustrating and annoying me. And I said as well, against Everton late on, it was coming and you could see it. But yeah, I do think that we should have more than enough in the tank to beat Brighton. And I think we'll beat them quite convincingly as well. So yeah.
To be fair, I don't think it's disrespectful to say that Brighton could get something from it, though. In the same way that,
it's the way you lot was all saying, "Oh yeah, they're gonna get something out of the result," and it's like we are one of the better teams in the league. Like, so I just, for me, it's a bit confusing. I'm not gonna lie.
I just don't think it's disrespect. I just don't think it's just in the same way that if on this show last week someone had been saying, I think Everton haven't won a Premier League game since the middle of December. And if someone had said, I think Everton can get something out of the game, then you'd have said that was disrespectful. But then it happened because they could get something out of the game. So I don't think it's disrespectful to say it. I think it's just an honest opinion. I think it would be disrespectful to Brighton if we all sat here and went, yeah, Spurs will win. Easy. So,
They also finished above you last year in the Premier League.
They did. But this year is a completely different kettle of fish. And yeah, I don't know if it's De Zerbi being found out, if the players are not like listening to what he's saying, or I'm not sure, the injuries, but they've not been the same.
I disagree. I disagree with that Brighton thing, in the sense of they've scored similar amount of goals, conceded similar amounts. I think they've got the same amount of points as this time last year. They've topped their Europa League group for the first time ever in being in Europe. Are they out of the FA Cup or in the FA Cup? That's the only thing I don't know. I haven't gone and checked. I need to go and look. I actually don't think it's. They've had that run where they've only won 4 in the last. Well, it was 3 in 16. It's now 4 in the last 16. Which isn't great. But they've only lost in that 3 wins in 16 period that was getting talked about. They'd only lost like 4 or 5 games, which was about the same as every other team. I think only one team was better than them on 3. Everybody else had lost 4 or 5 or more in that period. I just think they've had a bad injury issue, but for the first time in their club's history, they're managing 2 games a week, and I think they're sort of feeling that a little bit. But that's the teething problems you go through. I still think they're an excellent team based on, again, if I ask you guys this question, for over the last 3 seasons, we took the best 4 or 5 players away from all of your teams. How good do you think the teams would be? Would you still be able to like maintain your position and progress into Europe? I don't think any of our clubs could. None of them, including you took City's best 5 players away. Would you predict them to win the league? You know what I mean? So I still think, yeah, Brighton are dangerous for me. I think they get a little bit of, I think they've got a lot of respect and hype. And I think it kind of triggered a lot of people now where we sort of look to put them down whenever we can. Not saying you were doing that, Patty. I get you. But it's just even the way the media talks about them, they're not doing as well this year. But they're actually having a better season this year than last year. But for some reason, it's not really being spoke about, which I find interesting. That went strangely silent.
Yeah,
so,
no, it wasn't quite. I was actually checking the stats to see, like, yeah. To be fair, you are right, but I'm still. I was annoyed because it's just like people just down talking Spurs, and
I hear you on that. Like, I only do that about Brighton because I looked at it.
Yeah.
I was following the narrative that was coming out of the media that they're not doing as well this year, and I don't think it's true personally, but.
So,
both Brighton and Spurs score and let in loads of goals. It could end up being 10-10. That'd be a great game. That'd be a great game. It's 10-10. That'd be absolutely phenomenal if it is.
Both of them play a kind of a high-risk game when you really think of it, because Brighton they try to build from the back no matter who they're facing. And Spurs love to press whoever they're facing. So both of them have very strong principles, which is why that obviously is not going to be 10-10. The way he said that, or she said that, is absolutely perfect, because you're going to see two teams that concede a lot of goals because they try to score a lot of goals, go at each other. And as most of us said, I don't think anyone here is disrespecting Spurs. I've actually been accused of twerking for Spurs all season just because I've been giving them praise, and rightfully so, because so far this season they still the downfall that Hossam has been talking about never happened. But listen, they're a good team. I think they're going to win solely because they're at home. And I think the fact that Son is back and all that, I don't know if Son is going to start. Maybe if he's just on the bench, because he's definitely match fit. There's no reason for him not to play, unless he's jet lag or whatever. But, it's going to be a good game. I think Spurs will win just solely because they're at home. And, it's going to be interesting watch, because they're not far off still from most of the teams in the top 4. What are they sitting right now? Are Spurs sitting 5th or 4th?
They're 5th. We're 2 points. 2 points behind Villa, who are in 4th.
And we're playing Villa, so that's going to be interesting for you. Because I don't know who plays first. I think you guys play before us.
I think so. Yeah, we play 3 o'clock, so we probably play before.
And we play Sunday. Yeah, so if you get your 3 points, you can sit back and relax. And now you're taking a look at 5th and 6th right now are behind me. Let's see if Villa are going to go above me again, or if United are going to close the gap with me. So it's going to be an interesting watch. Yeah, but I think you guys
will. Speaking of Man United, one of the final points I wanted to bring up tonight is there's talk that Kobbie Mainoo is going to be picked by Gareth Southgate for England. Right or wrong, Rory, in your opinion, to put this young man into the England squad now?
Right. It's a position that I don't think we're massively blessed with at the moment. Beyond Rice and Bellingham, I don't really think anyone's got a fair claim to that position. I don't want to see Phillips or Henderson there. And I think a lot of people talk about how young he is, and he's had 8 good games for Man United or whatever. But I still think, like, when you see ability, you see ability. And he's at the sort of age where it won't, same way as when Saka got called up really early in his career, I don't think it phases them. I don't think it phases young players like that. He's not going to come in and start for England, but being in and around the squad from an early age, I don't really see the downside to it if the alternative is someone like Calvin Phillips or Jordan Henderson. So I just think you should take the risk, and if you're good enough.
But Rory, the argument is if he's going to play. A lot of the people are saying, fans are saying that Southgate's picking him just so he can't obviously play for his motherland or his heritage team. If you get what I mean. So I totally agree with what you're saying. But the argument is, will he actually make the squad and actually make the 15 or the 11? If not, then don't do it. Don't waste your international career being a bit part player. That's the argument.
But he's not going to be a bit part player, bro, is he? Come on. We can see that already. He's quality.
I don't know, because he's still got top players ahead of him. I hear what you're saying, but it depends on his development.
Who in that England team in the 6? Bar Rice, because I think he's a different player. Who's better than him?
What, midfielders?
Yeah.
Well, we just said Rice and Bellingham in terms of who's going to play. Right,
but that's a different position.
Yeah, Bellingham's further forward, man.
But for England, would he play further forward with the other players they've got? So I'm just saying, if right now, as opposed to, yeah, obviously he's young, he's only 18, right? So he's got a long time. But what I'm trying to say is we don't know who's going to come through in the next 2 or 3 or 4 years. And if he's not playing, and then it's.
Yeah, but it's one of those where, from England's perspective, they're going to be looking at. They don't know for sure that he's going to be a future England star, but they don't want to. If they can tie him down to England, then of course that's their responsibility is to do that. Because you don't want to get to the point where he is one of the best midfielders in the world potentially, and he's not playing for England. So I can understand it from England's perspective completely.
Every time this England team gets selected, the number one question always being asked is why Calvin Phillips is there. Because no one rates him based on what his time has been at City, because he just purely doesn't play. And now you see someone who actually plays for his club, and everyone here, including rivals, thinks he's quality. But we're saying, oh, there's players better than him in the English team. How can both things be correct when we don't rate the sixes that are sitting on the bench for England? But then when you see one with quality, even though he's young, people are saying, no, he's too young. But wouldn't he be better? I think he could start in this team, in this midfield as it's built right now, let alone be on the bench. Because I think for his caliber, there's not a lot of players that do what he does. And this is why I'm saying he's not coming in to replace Rice or replace Bellingham, because those are the two best players in that midfield. He comes in to complement them because he has the one thing that's different than both of them. Both of them are very physical, Rice and Bellingham, on two different aspects of the pitch. One is more attacking, one is more defending. The one thing that Mainoo has that they wouldn't have would be the calmness and the footballing, just purely the footballing ability. Like, I think, Rory, if you look at last game, one reason why everyone praised Jorginho is because Rice was basically doing all the physical work. Like, he was amazing. He was intercepting every ball. He was tracking back. He was winning every tackle. He was basically Jorginho's bodyguard. Now replace Jorginho with a Kobbie Mainoo who's 18, so he's much younger, and he's actually a lot more physical than Jorginho, by the way. For his frame and his height, he's 5'9", but he wins over 50% of his duels, including his aerial duels. So he's actually a very good 6. You put those two together, that's actually a very complementary midfield. I don't know what you think, Griggs, because you watch him as much as I do.
Yeah, I think with Mainoo, I think he's been penciled in for that England spot for a minute now. He's an under-19 captain for England, so they've always had this plan. When he breaks through for United, he's always going to get the call up. Obviously, I don't think 20. I think obviously I said he should start at the Euros, but it's not going to happen. Let's be serious. International politics and all that's going to get into effect. But that 2026 World Cup in 2 years' time, I do personally believe that Kobbie Mainoo will be a starter. I don't know if Southgate will be the coach at that time, so it might be completely different because we talked about England's midfielders. You also got to factor in Phil Foden. If Phil Foden is a midfielder by that point, you have a case that Phil Foden should be starting in midfield because he's a talent of himself. I don't know if they'll shove him back on the wing. I know City are kind of using him more as an interior lately, so that might influence Southgate to use him as an interior because Southgate's main excuse why he never used Foden in midfield for England was he doesn't play there for City, right? So if Foden comes into midfield, it makes it a little harder for Mainoo, but I think the kid's quality. Staffy, you know this because I said it since the summer. I said by the end of the season, this kid has the potential to be like a top 10 midfielder in this league. That's how good he is, the quality. And I don't think the pressure will get to him on England because he's gone into this United team that's all over the place, chaos and all that kind of stuff. And he's been the one that's kind of been the semblance of maturity. And he's the 18-year-old. He's not the captain of Bruno Fernandes. He's not Casemiro, who's meant to be this veteran, 10-year pro, all that kind of stuff. Casemiro is more of a hothead than Mainoo. He has less maturity to his game, right? So I think Mainoo is I think he's definitely going to play for England. I don't think Ghana ever had a chance. I'm not going to lie. I know that they were hoping, but the fact that he skipped, I think he's a level above in every England youth level. He's always skipped a step. And obviously the next step, he's going to skip the under 21s, it appears like, and he's going to go right into the first team. And I know why England are going to do this. They did the same thing with Tomori, we're not going to let him play for the other nation, but I think with Mainoo, it's a little different that he's going to end up being a key component of this England team.
This is why St. George's Park was invented. The idea was to essentially try and join up the academy players, the English academy players, and create a sort of joined up approach when it comes to our national team, and ensure to a degree that players are being developed more on a technical level. And I would say there are some footballers from the golden generation and prior that you could look at as being bigger superstars, but technically now in England, we have much better football players, I think, than we did 20, 30 years ago. I really do. Like Phil Foden, we had lots that came through. Joe Cole was a great example, but it was almost forced out of them in many ways. They weren't able to let it kind of flourish, really. We were dead set against that as a nation, 15, 20 years ago. And I think Mainoo should be included. I also, listen, he's represented England up into under 3 levels already. But for me, of course, Ghana are going to want him because he plays and starts for them right now, in my opinion. Of course, they're going to want him. And I'm selfish. He's got dual nationality. He's English as far as I'm concerned, but he's also got heritage in Ghana. And I want him to play for my country. I don't want to see him play for Ghana, for no disrespect to them, but I want my nation to have the best players available possible. So I think you bring him in now, you give him a competitive game if you can, so that he's with England. Now, I get the point that, some people say Tomori shouldn't have gone towards England. I view it this way. If Tomori wants to be an England player, we should respect that choice. If Mainoo wants to be an England player, we should respect that choice. And none of that, if you'd have picked this country, you'd have played more or done this. Equally, if Mainoo says, you know what, I've spoken through my family, and although I was born in the UK, I feel a need to represent Ghana, then I'll also support that as well for me. But I want him to play for England selfishly, and I think now is the right time to call him up. I think that I know it's only been a handful of games, but when you're good enough, you are old enough. And this kid, he could actually be important in games for England in the lead up to the Euros and in the Euros, coming on at the right times, holding the possession, having that kind of subtlety on the ball, maintaining possession. All those things are such key components to his game. We don't have anyone like that. We really don't. And that's not me hyping up a young United player like he's better than everybody. He's genuinely brilliant. Now, will he progress and continue and maintain this level for 3, 4, 5 years? I don't know. That's going to be on him and the club to maintain that. But right now, he's absolutely brilliant. He genuinely is brilliant. So yeah, I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
I don't know if you remember the games he basically debuted in when he came back from injury. If you remember his first 3 games, he went to Goodison Park, he went to Galatasaray Stadium. I don't know what it's called, but he went to Galatasaray away, and then went to Newcastle away, and then within a week, I think, or 2, he went to Anfield away. This kid didn't debut in perfect circumstances. It's not like he came into a perfect team where everything's settled and the midfield is okay, and he's just coming on off the bench, playing 20 minutes here and there just to get used to like a senior football. He's debuted in not the best circumstances, so he already sees pressure. I mean, you're playing for Manchester United, not in a good period, so that's already a lot of pressure. And I don't think anyone here, even in these games that I named, most of them we didn't win, by the way. But when everyone watched these games, the one thing we came out with, and we're like, you know what? He looks like the best man in that midfield. He looks like the most mature one in this midfield. Not a single person sat there. We're like, wow, we lost these games because they don't have a good midfielder in Kobbie Mainoo. No one said that. Everyone saw the quality he brought since day one. And this English team is much better than the team that he plays with in United anyways. So he's actually going to be surrounded by better players that actually could play on his wavelength. He's going to be surrounded by a few City players that play different football than what he plays at United. He's going to play with a couple Arsenal players, a couple Spurs players. So he's going to be actually around better quality. He doesn't need to come in and everyone's like, wow, look, he's the next Gerrard, he's the next Scholes, he's the next Lampard. He's going to be the best man in our midfield. That's not what anyone is saying. But there's no reason why you can't take him in this team and then he starts just developing and getting, you know what, you have a World Cup in 2 years. You would rather him be ready for that World Cup. So you have 2 years to get him used to playing international football and used to these teammates. Because in 2 years, you could be talking about a very, very serious midfield. You could be talking about a prime Jude Bellingham, prime Declan Rice, and prime Kobbie Mainoo in about 2 years going into that World Cup. And there's no reason why they shouldn't call him up now.
What's your thoughts on him, LB?
Like him. He's the only player at Man United I'd take at City. I changed my mind on it. I was asked about this very same question maybe like 6 weeks, 8 weeks ago. And I said, nah, it's too soon. But now I just put it down to the simplistics. He's better than Henderson, in my opinion now. Yeah, I don't want Henderson at England. He's better than Phillips. So why am I saying no? Like you said, Terry, if he's good enough, get him in there. And also, yeah, you're right on the greed thing. England need to lock him off. Do you know what I mean? England need to lock him up and get him on that thing so he can't change. You know what I mean? Because ultimately, I agree. The way he plays, I think he could be a top 10 midfielder in this league in a few years' time. So yeah, man, 100%. Get him in there. Get him in there. I think it's exactly what England need. I think that, and then we need to sort out a centre back partner for John Stones, and then once that's happening, we look like a very good team, man. Do you know what I mean? We've got a good squad, England. England got a good team. Unfortunately, we're managed by this clown. We don't know what he's doing really, and it's a shame. But yeah, nah, I'd pick him 100%.
Barty here says I'm Ghanaian, and he says Kobbie shouldn't bother playing for Ghana. Listen, I'm
gonna start how you brother over here, man.
I'm not getting involved in that conversation. I'm just saying, as far as I'm concerned, he's English, and I want him to play for England. Oh, he's both, but
well, be careful, Marcy. The Ghanaians might call you negative now, so be careful.
It may. It's like me. Like one of my sons is half English, half Irish, and it's like if he's ever good enough to play, I'm going to be desperate for him to play for England. You know what I mean? I'll be desperate. I'll be desperate for him to. I always said to him growing up, like you can everything football, England, everything. Rugby, Irish. That was kind of the way we sort of, but I don't know if that'll work when we're older. We'll see. If Villa play like that yesterday against Højlund, who's full of confidence right now, hopefully 5 in 5 for him, and I'm very open for a new stadium. Yeah, look, listen, Man United, we're going to preview that more with Sam on Straight Facts tomorrow, along with the Liverpool game as well. I like to spread it over the 2 days. But yeah, listen, I hope they're as bad as they were last night, and I hope that Højlund makes it 5 in 5 and Garnacho gets another brace. I'd love it. A new stadium wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I'd rather Old Trafford gets redeveloped. But I want us, I'm really greedy with that as well. I want us to, I've been to the biggest stadium in the world, which is the Beaver Stadium at Penn State University. I've been there. I think it's 108,000. I want us to go one better. I want, like, make 110,000 seat stadium. Do it. We'd sell it out. But I want it to be so big and epic. I just want it to be ridiculous. So yeah, let's get it done. New stadium or whatever. Let's make it the biggest one in the country by a country mile. Let's do it. Seriously, I speak for most Ghanaians that if he plays for the Black Stars, he'll waste his talent. Kudus is a prime example. Brother, look, it's your country. I'm just saying thank you for that super chat. I am never taking the risk of attacking anybody else's nation unless it's Germany or France. I'm talking football teams here. Germany or France or America, Italy. I'll go at them. Everybody else, love you. Love you. There we go. I'm not going to dance like Astrid Wet did for any other nation last night. But having said
Fabrizio
that,
just tweeted, Terry, United are giving Mainoo a new contract. They have a new proposal for him.
Oh, my little Mainoo, love it,
Just
love it. But saying about Astrid Wet, she did a thing. She's 19% Nigerian, so that's who she supports now. But I'm going to do one of them. I'm so intrigued to see what mine comes back as. Do you know what I mean? Mine will probably come back 99% English. I'm just one of them, isn't it? It's going to be one of them ones, isn't it? Like, yeah, we knew, no seasoning, no rhythm, 4 left feet. But there we go. Look, I want to thank everybody that's tuned into the show today. It's always a pleasure. Oh, another one here. This here it says, don't brother Terry. All Ghanaians are hoping he doesn't switch to Ghana. Okay, fair enough. Listen, I'm actually going to message one of my best friends, Tony. His family are from Ghana. I'm going to ask what he thinks. Although, Tony, if you're watching, I know you support England anyway. So it's one of them ones. I don't know what he's going to say.
You know what it is there? It's like when you know your national team is bad, especially not going through a good period, you want to see your best like players out there in Europe just stick to like a good team. Like it happened to us a few years ago with Stefan Sharawi from Milan. And everyone was like, oh, we want to bring him to Egypt, I was like, why? The kid is clearly a talent. His mom is Italian, so it's not like he grew up in Egypt. He's playing for the best teams in Italy. Just let him prosper. That obviously didn't work out.
Staffy, if you were really good at football, would you play for Egypt or would you play for America?
I'd play for Egypt 100%. I grew up in Egypt. I lived too many years in Egypt.
Oh, okay, so you're not okay. Fair enough. Okay, that makes sense.
Same with me.
I don't like football in America. I actually never, and this is gonna piss off the Americans. I never support the USA in the World Cup because I don't like, and I'll tell you why. I think this country has enough facilities to be one of the best footballing nations in the world, but they choose to put it as the 4th or 5th best sport, which is something that I don't like. It's like it's very dismissed over here. Like when I would play football, people always thought about it as like it's a soft sport. You should be playing American football.
I do get that, but that's also like for Americans, culturally for them, that isn't what's important. It's a bit like going to a country like England where football is the biggest part of our culture and being disgusted that we don't take American football as seriously at school. Like,
but they don't over here. They actually disrespect the sport, which is something that I don't like. So I'm
I
like,
get
all right,
that.
if you're gonna disrespect the sport, they disrespect the sport all year round, and then the USA makes the World Cup, and they just watch these games, and all of a sudden they want to support them. I'm like, you was calling them foot fairies for a whole year. That's what they say here. They always call it foot fairies. And I'm like, okay, so I'm not going to support you then because you don't take the sport seriously as other nations. Like, I'd rather the nations that actually breathe the sport win it than a country that doesn't take it seriously.
I get you, bro. Look, I want to thank everyone who's tuned in. My panel tonight have been amazing. Match Bingo, your stars as ever. Get their app downloaded now. Sign up to it as well. It's free to download, free to sign up to. Scan the QR code above my bonds. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again very